President's Day 2018. What began as a day to celebrate George Washington's birthday now celebrates all American presidents, past and present. So, what does it mean to you?
It's a day to celebrate the office.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the current president.
I honor the office of the president.
Yeah. The current one not making you feel the President's Day special feeling?
Oh, we have one. Oh, I didn't know.
Regardless of the party, such courage is still possible.
What comes to mind if you think of President's Day?
Traveling for the weekend. Definitely not going to stay in Boston.
It was a working holiday for me when I was in the auto business.
It means school vacation week, and it also means, we're celebrating the previous presidents.
Washington and Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
My last name is Lincoln.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Is his first name Abraham, though? See, that's the question. And on this President's Day weekend, let me introduce two fine Americans, Democrat Marianne Marsh and Republican Ginny Buckingham. Either one could be president of the United States and we'd be in a great place. Thanks for joining us.
So you heard Jeff Deal this morning. Will the president be an albatross around his neck during the primary?
Definitely not during the primary. It's those motivated Trump voters. Remember, Trump did very well here in Massachusetts that are going to vote for Jeff, and I think probably give him a huge advantage. In the general, it's a different story.
We're talking about the primary. What do you think, Marianne?
Yeah, Ginny's right. He wins the primary because of those supporters. However, it is an albatross around his neck in the general. Remember, Clinton beat Trump here 61-34. That is the mimic of what's going to happen between the race between Warren and Deal. So does Warren hit 61? Probably not, but very tough for Deal to win anything that way.
I want to go down a delicate path here. The week was obviously headlined by the shooting in Florida, and in the immediate wake of the shooting, the president tweeted thoughts and prayers to the people of Florida and the families of Florida, and then went on in a tweet to express more opinions in there. And this prompted this reaction from Congressman Seth Moulton. He minced no words. He tweeted back at the president, well, okay, thank you very much. I agree with every word Donald Trump, that real Donald Trump, said. I invite him to get off his, and we haven't edited the word. That's the word that Congressman Moulton used, and then join me in trying to do something about it. Marianne, the question is, outside of the headlines, does this lead to anything else?
Unfortunately, probably not. I agree with what Seth Moulton said. But if you serve in Congress right now, no matter what party you are, you have blood on your hands again. Okay? So what Seth could do is get everyone in Congress who ever served in the military as a veteran and join together to ban the commercial production and sales of AR-15s, the weapon of choice that is slaughtering kids in our schools every single week. There have been 18 shootings in schools since January 1st.
A shocking statistic.
And no one's done anything. Nicole Hockley, who I've had the great good fortune to meet with and do a few little things for, has been on the news this week crying about this. Teachers crying about this. We've turned schools into police states and slaughterhouses, yet no one will do anything to stop the sales of guns. And it is far past the time that this is normal or acceptable. It is murder. It is the equivalent of every massacre we've ever had, and something finally has to be done now.
So back to Seth Moulton for a minute, though. I think his words and his choice of words set the effort back that Marianne is talking about. Because the way we're ever going to succeed in making any progress is reaching out across the aisle to people who are legal gun owners and try to find some common ground. Doing some demagoguery is not going to get us there, and I thought it was really disappointing.
Let's talk about Mitt Romney. He's set to run for Senate in Utah. Any questions that he'll win? And do you think he'll mention President Trump very often during this campaign, Ginny?
You know, Mitt Romney knows how to dance, and he's going to have to dance in Utah. You know, obviously, Donald Trump won Utah hugely in the last election, yet Mitt Romney is running so he can run for president again, against Donald Trump potentially. So it's going to be fascinating to see how he maneuvers.
He's come out. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, didn't the president win bigly, not hugely? He won bigly, didn't he? I'm just trying to.
But I mean, he has been very critical of the president and has been very direct on his tweets and his statements. Do you think that will continue, Marianne? as he runs in
I think he will try to avoid it during the campaign, but if it comes on social, cultural issues in a state like in Utah, where there are so many Mormons and Romney is one too, that has been popular. But I think he's saving most of his attacks on Romney for when he gets to the Senate. And to Ginny's point, yes, runs in 2020.
Well, and that's the interesting part, because look at Governor Romney's age. What is he? 70 years old, and the next presidential campaign is up in a little over a couple of years. So he's going to hit this next one. So doesn't everyone in Utah know that that's what his objective is?
And they're thrilled.
And they're thrilled.
They would be happy.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Senator Elizabeth Warren decided to directly address the Indian issue haunting her for years. Take a listen.
I never used my family tree to get a break or get ahead. I never used it to advance my career.
Marianne, if she has a problem, does this solve the problem?
It does. I mean, I'm glad she finally took it on. I wish she had done it when Scott Brown was calling her Pocahontas. It's better late than never. It turns a weapon against her into one that she can use against her opponents, and now has the support of Native Americans who have been critical of her. But I think the fact she waited this long, there's a residual effect. I think this will start to clear the decks, but when it comes, it is as much about 2018 as it is 2020.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes doing things like this speech put these issues to rest. Sometimes they open the door to a lot more questions. When John F. Kennedy did this about his religion, it put it to rest. This, I think, doesn't quite go far enough, and I would guess and think that her opponents are going to see some openings, questions she didn't answer about how did she use her claims in the past to advance her career.
But she's in better state now for doing it than had she not.
And we did talk to Jeff Deal before we were actually doing the show, and he sort of seemed to indicate that he did not think it was completely gone yet. The issue was not yet dead.
I don't think it is.
With your own peril.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.